So I got interrupted in my previous video, and the woman who called me, I'm actually using my iPad. She, so this is part 2 of the same video. She didn't even realize she called me. I call her back. She's like, oh, I'm dealing with something. I'll call you back. I hope she doesn't call me back while I'm recording. So part 2, yeah. So we have a few more sources. Continuing this. And what I was saying was that what I was reading from Rambam was hard because in a way I've had to rely on exactly what it says not to here, because I'm going to read it again because we were in the middle of the quote, but actually the feeling that, I needed help, and, I have become in a lot of ways, oh no, with my hand, I by mistake crossed something out over here, which is important to me, so it's good I saw that. Okay, so back on topic. Okay, so basically I had an issue with my job personally, and that is difficult to then read this, to hear this, to learn this, because it's not my intention. I mean, I'm trying to replace it. The next job I was looking into, they wanted to underpay me significantly, which wouldn't be good. It turns out, though, that even if you ask for help, Hashem, our Creator, decides who is going to help you and how much. So there's some grace. There's some grace even in this. So let's continue. And yeah, so we're reading from Rambam, Hilchot Talmud Torah 3:10. And it says, anyone who sets his heart on learning Torah and doesn't work at a trade but survives on charity, he has surely desecrated God's name, humiliated the Torah, extinguished the light of the religion, caused evil to himself, and removed his life from the world to come. He continues by proving that the sages of the Mishnah and Talmud work for their living and refuse to benefit from the Torah. So this is obviously a very controversial statement, because a lot of people say it's better to be learning Torah than being involved in the world. Now, in this case, it's saying that if God gave you gifts, it's kind of like, how could you not, if you have a trade, a craft, or whatever, an apprentice, it's saying also, like, why would you desecrate the ability to earn a living? Some say, no, it was a curse. Originally, in the Garden of Eden, they were just able to be with godliness and the Torah, before they had to work. The curse was that man would have to work. So I'm not telling anyone to believe this. I'm saying it's something to think about. Maybe to find a balance. If someone's relying too much on charity but does have the ability to work, versus, on the other hand, somebody who's refusing to work, he gets, refusing to learn Torah and wants to work a trade. I mean, we learn in the Torah that you have to spend all day learning Torah. So it's like, if you could learn Torah while you're working, or find the Torah of the work, it's a door to walk through. It's not something I could tell anyone what to do. Rabbi Ginsburg, next topic. Rabbi Ginsburg, says the 4 innovations of Hasidim correspond to the 4 letters of the Tetragrammaton. Yud, love of Israel. Hey, joy in serving God. Vav, devotion, and hey, in all your ways know Him. This is the 4-letter name of God. Then we have Mishnah, chagigah. Whoever looks at 4 things, it would have been better that he had never come in the world. What's above, what's below, what's before, and what's after. And again, this is very hard to think about. Aren't we supposed to sometimes meditate on these things? So, we do have to look at these teachings as sometimes they seem like they contradict, but maybe in the right light, or each person has to take it. If you're supposed to be, if you're desecrating God's name, if you are too much involved in what's before or after, below, instead of being in the present moment. Maybe it's saying you can't trust yourself to know what's above, what's below, what's before, and what's after. And when it's saying, if you set your heart at Torah, but you survive on charity, it's like, some would say, well, if they're not giving, they're told to give charity to a Torah scholar. So you're depriving them of that very high mitzvah. So, maybe in a way, you could say, well, it might not look so good that the Torah scholar is not being blessed by God. So in a certain context, you could always find a way for all the different teachings to come together. Sifra said in midrash, halacha, and vayikra says that when the Torah says that there's a ban on following the ways of Egypt, it includes the customs that they and their forefathers did, which also meant that a man would marry another man, a woman would marry another woman, and a woman would marry two men. And I thought this is really interesting because this was written so long ago. And yet what's the issue right now in the world is a lot of people think that it makes sense for a man to marry a man, a woman to marry a woman. Now, I don't believe that I've ever learned it's against the Torah for a woman to be with a woman. Although, she's not being fruitful and multiplying, which was commanded to the earth and to the people from the beginning. But it does say very clearly a man should not be with a man, or that a woman should be with kedushin, better not to be a harlot. So, or sort of says something like immoral or prostitutional. Okay, kitzur shulchan aruch, the shortened version of the shulchan aruch, which we talked about also earlier. I hope that these videos help people give context when I say sources. Now sometimes you can maybe know who they are. The last video and the part 1 of this video include in this video of the day. It says in number 158, number 1, chapter 158, a woman who is given birth, whether she bore a living child or a dead one, or even if there was a miscarriage, even if she received no blood, she is regarded as unclean with uncleanness ascribed to birth giving. The law prescribes that if the child was male, the mother is unclean 7 days, and after which she may count 7 clean days, and she performs the rite of the immersion. If the baby's female, the mother is unclean for 14 days, after which she counts 7 clean days and performs the rite of immersion. There are places where the immersion, where the accepted custom is that the woman doesn't perform the immersion within 40 days of giving birth to a male and within 80 days of giving birth to a female. This is if there's no, clean days means no blood. So it's very rare that within 7 days a woman is healed in such a way. That's what I've heard. It could be that in ancient times it wasn't rare. It could be that we've changed a lot hormonally as women with our recovery based on what we eat, what we're exposed to. So why is this important? The woman cannot be with her husband till after the 7 days after the 7. So if she has a boy 7 days, then she counts 7 days. So it's 2 weeks. So if she had a miscarriage, we talked about in the beginning of this, in the beginning of this from source, her husband's not allowed to console her with touch. And also, it will be 21 days if it's a female minimum. However, as we just discussed, there's 40 days. She doesn't do the immersion for a girl, and 80 days for a boy, and 80 days for a girl. In a community where the custom is uniformly accepted, it shouldn't be treated lightly, for there's some reason for this. It says, "Hear, my son, the instruction of your father, and do not forsake the teachings of your mother." So even if it doesn't say it outright in the Torah, 40 days, 80 days, there are those who say it's so important because it's based on that. It's based on a reason. They do it for a reason. So we'll stop here. This is part 2. And hopefully it's not confusing for people if there is a part 1 and part 2, but someone called me. Okay, bye.